First in the Atlantic Division for the first time ever. No, it's not the first time that the Leafs have finished first in their division, but it's the first real time. I mean, the North Division, the Canadian Division, whatever you want to call it, shortened season, only playing Canadian teams. I don't know that we can consider that a real feat of, hey, this team did it. They got all the way through. They finished first. But this one is legit. All you needed was a point here tonight, and yet you walk away with a convincing victory over the Buffalo Sabres. That sees some milestones set here. Austin Matthews, 400 career goals. Mitch Marner reaches 100 points on the season for the first time in his career, and on top of that, he's the fourth Toronto Maple Leaf player in history. Not fourth time, but fourth player in history in the Toronto Maple Leafs franchise history, that is, to reach 100 points in a single season. Some milestones here tonight. Anthony Stolarz records yet another shutout, and this one was a very deserving one. You know, a lot of people after the game against the Montreal Canadiens on Saturday said, well, he didn't face that much. And my argument back to them was, yeah, but he faced some high dangerous stuff. He faced some stuff that he had to battle through, some adversity in those ones. This here tonight, this was a well-earned shutout for Anthony Stolarz. Even the opportunity for Austin Matthews to get that 400th career goal came solely because Anthony Stolarz made like 5-10 bell saves at the other end of the ice. Backdoors, deflections, screens. Anthony Stolarz was dialed in to help get this Leafs team over the hump, help keep the score 2-0, and give Austin Matthews that opportunity that actually ends up coming off of a little bit of an overpass by Mitch Marner, and then a battle for the puck won by Austin Matthews, who scores on the empty net through Dahlin's legs, who then almost decapitates Mitch Marner. But regardless, 100 points on the season for Mitch Marner, 400 career goals for Austin Matthews, and another shutout for Anthony Stolarz here tonight. You have to be happy if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan at the end of this one, finishing first in the Atlantic Division, knowing that you feel confident and can trust the goalies that you have in net. It's just a positive all-around feeling around this team going into playoffs. Couple of wins here, 8 of your last 9. You've now won 4 consecutive if you're the Leafs. Doesn't matter who you've played. The way you've won some of these games has been pretty comforting, knowing that your goaltending's been good. Your defense has been good. You're getting the big boys on the board. Your depth has looked good. We'll break it all down here tonight as a presentation of Bet365, and we will also be joined by Carter Hutton on the program here as well to help dissect tonight's win, kind of maybe here tell us, is there anything we can actually take away from a win like this and a game like this? I have some goalie-specific stuff for Huts. Shocker. I mean, we're going to get the goalie on here and ask him some goalie-specific stuff as we get ourselves ready for playoffs. But I think it's some stuff that's probably on the top of everybody's mind at this point in the year. Just kind of wondering, you know, how do you prepare yourselves for the playoffs, and what do you do when you have these days off and rest and rust and all that kind of stuff? So we'll get Huts on here to help us break it down. But before we get to Huts, just a quick reminder, we have a Super Chat charity partner on the show this season. If you guys are not aware yet, I mean, you should be, because we're doing it pretty much every single show at this point. But our Super Chat charity partner this season is Sick Kids. You want to make sure your question or comment gets on the show, hit us with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, Canada's first children's hospital and a top research-intensive children's hospital in Canada, and third in the world. At some points this year, we've raised like $250, $300. I think the most we raised in one single show was about $495. Last year in the playoffs, we were hitting some big amounts, and they're all going to good causes here. Proceeds go to Sick Kids Charity. So just a reminder as we continue on with the show here tonight. But with that, I've had enough of keeping him waiting in the background. I want to hear from him. I want to know what he's thinking after a game like this. Welcome to the Leafs Nation After Dark. Former Buffalo Sabres goaltender, as well as Toronto Maple Leafs goaltender, Carter Hutton. Huts, how's it going tonight, buddy?
Good, my man. What a night. What a night. Honestly, like it went from a game where it was like, 1-0, not a lot going on, just kind of that hockey we're getting used to with Craig Berube defending, and then the doors just blew off there. What a finish. And
Yeah.
I know it doesn't mean anything, but it does. It does. It's good stuff. I love it. I love it, Zach.
It's like a 4-0 win tonight against Buffalo. You needed 1 point, so it didn't really matter. And I mean, there was milestones being chased here. I think it was last season, Marner at the end was still trying to get to 100. We remember that game against the Rangers of him firing the puck down at the empty net. Just couldn't get it to go. It waits all the way to the very end, or 2 seasons ago, sorry. And Matthews, they're trying to get to goal 70. Like, those things get pushed off to the very end, and it leaves things a little bit uncomfortable. This year, you found a way to just get it out of the way. I feel like that's just a nice easing thing in the room there. Like, you get that goal from Matthews that gets him to career number 400. You get the point for Mitch Marner. You clinch at the Atlantic Division all in one night, and you do it in a pretty convincing fashion against the Buffalo Sabres, albeit late in the third period. But I think you got to feel pretty good if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs after a game like this tonight.
I do. Again, this is like, these are the games they're going to be in though, right? So it's it's going to come down to a late game. It wasn't really a 4-0 game in that sense, right? Like it's a 2-0 game, and then obviously the empty netter, and that obviously a world-class play by Matthews to find Marner in the back door there. But you could tell just the way the game was going, and Anthony Stolarz was so good. And, with the back end with McCabe out and where they're at, I thought it was a good game, like in that sense of stability and where they're at and where they need to play, and exciting. You know what I mean? It's nice to get that done, because I think you reflect on last year, that hunt for 70 was just like taking over, right? Like his back was a little banged up. I don't know if he ever bounced back. Now he can rest guys, be a little more strategic. And I think the rest is important here, because the fact of the matter, it's a quick turnover, right? We're sitting here Tuesday night. They got a game Thursday, and they're going to be playing on Sunday. This is going to be a quick turnover, right? So I don't think the rest is that eminent. So now you rest guys. Now it's like your big guys aren't playing. I remember my first NHL game, I was playing for the Chicago Blackhawks. I had backed up, 25 games or so. And we ended up, it was the year in 2013, and the year we won the cup with Chicago. I played the last game of the year. It was my first ever start. And they scratched Kane, Taves, Hossa, you name it. Everybody played. I remember every fan that came to St. Louis to watch the Blackhawks play was so pissed off. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of pissed off fans Thursday night when they go to that Leafs game.
I could just imagine you looking at the thing before. I mean, like, you had to have known you're a smart enough guy as well. But looking up there at the board, and you're just like, seriously, what the fuck? Like,
Good luck. Good
I'm
luck.
supposed to go out there tonight.
So, crazy story. Sean Lalonde, a D-man from Rockford, played forward. Played one NHL game. He played him at forward. Like, talk about that is unbelievable.
That's nuts. That's nuts. I want to ask you a little bit about that rust, and I think specifically on the goaltending side. One of the things that it'll be interesting to see how they do this going up to the playoffs, because rest has been the conversation, especially around the NHL here. I mean, look at the Vegas Golden Knights. They've basically said, fuck it. We're not going to dress anybody tonight. There's like 6 starters who aren't playing, including Adin Hill. But the one problem for the Leafs is that they obviously are tied up on the cap here, and tied up with guys on LTIR and stuff. So, you probably deciding to go shorthanded. Are you going to put guys out of the lineup and play with less bodies? Are you just going to cut minutes? It'll be interesting to see how they handle that. But the one that I'm more interested in is what you think, and maybe from your own experience, and then maybe just kind of your thoughts on Stoli and how he's handled things this year. But the waiting period from tonight to next Sunday, because you brought that up, and I think for the team it is kind of quick. Okay, Tuesday, after by the way, you just played Saturday, Sunday, you go Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, playoffs start. But Anthony Stolarz will play here tonight. I can't imagine he plays Thursday. Next game is Sunday. Is that a long rest? Is that beneficial? Does it get a guy out of a rhythm who hasn't lost since March 15th, I think it was? Like, does that hurt, help? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I think it's perfect. This is a guy that he's been a backup majority of his career, right? And even this year, he's been a guy that's split time, and they've both played. You see both guys winning 20 games this year. I think for him, it's kind of a perfect recipe, where I would be more concerned if this was Thursday night and they had to win this game and Stolarz played, and then you'd have the quick turnaround. I think this sets up well for him. He's been through this before. He's had spotted starts time after time. And again, I think it's a good dynamic of Joseph Woll and Anthony Stolarz, in the sense of Joseph Woll's been through this before. He's been the guy that has been the backup. He's had to come into tough situations playing behind Samsonov where he would just mail it in some nights and he'd have to come in. And look at it play last year. So I do think the headspace that both these goalies are in is in a great spot right now. The fact of the matter is Anthony Stolarz has been absolutely lights out. He's 8-0 in his last 8 games, 3 shutouts in his last 4, like absolutely dialed in. And I would like to see them clean up their 6-on-5 play. It's one thing that the Leafs I don't really love. I feel like when they are trying to hold a lead, they give up a lot of chances, something they're going to have to deal with. It's going to be tight games come playoff time. And you're going to be dealing with, in that Atlantic division, right? You're going to obviously draw Ottawa. And then from there on, you want to keep winning. You're going to have a tough second round opponent. So I'd like to see that cleaned up. But the sense of goaltending, I think the rest is perfect here. Now for Stolarz, I would say tomorrow's obviously he's on the shelf relaxing. And then maybe you get a little bit of like work in you strategically. You've done this so many times before, setting yourself up to be peaking at the right time. So I think that's where you're at right now. And I think this is, honestly, Zach, I think this is a perfect formula. I'd be more worried if they would have clinched a few days ago and then how much games do you give them? Where do you give them? And I know the salary cap up front, but goalie-wise, I think they're in a great situation here to have him peaking at the right time when they face Ottawa.
I do also think it's probably pretty good for these guys, given what we kind of maybe expect out of what could possibly happen here with the rotation and the tandem that you have. They're not going to go with what Boston did a couple of years ago, and it's like Allmark Swayman. They're not going to do that. Berube's made it pretty clear he wants one guy. We all are aware it's Anthony Stolarz, regardless of how much he's going to say, I don't know, and smile at you in the media. We know it's Anthony Stolarz. But then now, okay, you're going to get Joseph Woll on Thursday. You look at how the schedule is going to go for the playoffs. I mean, just assuming, but you probably get Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Even if he goes in there, you're not looking at, holy shit, Joseph Woll hasn't played in 15, 20 days. They'll be at least frequently rolling through there. Each of those guys will be having some touches in the net. So I do think it benefits them there as well. I'm going to ask you something that Leafs fans probably aren't going to be too happy about here tonight, but I want your opinion on this because I probably would have said it anyways, and then people would have jumped on me. So if you agree with me, then I can at least say, well, he said it too, and he's smarter than I am, and it's not just me. It got brought up during the broadcast tonight, and it did kind of send a shiver down my spine thinking about years past. When they were talking about Mike Johnson's bringing up, oh, wow, they're playing the playoff style of hockey. And that's why the games are low scoring. And that's why it's tough and it's tight. And Saturday night was 1-0 in overtime. And this one, until late, was 1-0, 2-0. This is the Berube playoff style. That's great. And I do agree with that for the most part. I'm curious if you have any concerns about the team's ability to score and overcome that. Because Huts, we know it in years past, playing tighter, lower scoring games hasn't really been the problem in playoffs. It's scoring and winning those games. Look at the Boston game in Game 7 overtime. That's a perfect example. Low scoring, tight, 1-1 into OT. You lost 2-1. And picking out just one game, but scoring has traditionally bit them in the ass. Is there any concern from your side of things when it comes to how they approach the playoffs and the way they're playing? I got to do it to you. Sorry.
Yeah, obviously. This is again, the season is a formality at this point, right? I still think, yes, it's awesome, right? 100 points for Marner, 400 goals for Matthews, Stolarz, shutout tonight, clinch the division, unbelievable. But at the end of the day, if they were the second wildcard team in the playoffs, nothing would have mattered. This is about the playoffs. This is what's been looming over this team for so many years, and it's about scoring goals and winning games and finding ways to win in those tight games. But that being said, you have to trust the process of the season and what's gone on and what they've built and Tanev and McCabe and where they're at and how hard they're defending and the little additions they've had. So I think that is important to say, right? It is concerning, but at the end of the day right now, I don't think we've seen them with a tandem like this in the pipes. They have 2 unbelievable goalies. I think they have the depth to get it done. But that is curious to me, the fact of it's a little bit of a formality at this point. If they finish second wild card, we'd still be sitting here this black cloud that's waiting over them. So for me, I think it's going to be a heavy game, right? And what I do like about them is I like the way that Matthew Knies is playing. I think that is going to be a big playoff addition, right? You look at, he obviously was there last year, but he's a different player now. He's maturing into himself. He's a leader. He gets pucks down low. I think John Tavares can still be very effective in the playoffs. That being said, I think it's going to come down to the big guys. And by big guys, I mean, I think what Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews can do in the playoff time, because Willie has consistently been good, right? Matthews has had flashes of brilliance at times, but that being said, he has to be the best player, and it looks like he's getting where he needs to be after a season of not really knowing where he was health-wise. So I love it. I love where they're at. There's a lot of positives, but fuck, Zach, everything I just said, throw out the window, because it's the Leafs in the playoffs, and that's all that matters. If they lose in the first round, this division, these goals, none of this shit's going to matter. So it's time. It's now we go, baby. Now we go.
Now we go. There you go. Get your playoff merch now. Now we go. All right, I have one last question for you. This one comes from the chat. And by the way, I asked you that question, and people are pissed that I even bother bringing it up. But this is a super chat. Proceeds go to Sick Kids Charity, and it's specifically for you here, Hutz. So I'll play the animation. We'll get to it. This one, this one comes in from a frequent super chatter here. They changed their name and have basically just been fucking with Vick and I for the last while. So Mitch Marner's vulva sends in the super chat and says, knowing Carter's early career was tough, curious about what role the role of confidence plays for the development of someone like Woll, or whether skills improvement was more important in getting over the hump. That's just a fucking unnecessary first line.
Yeah, that's okay, buddy. I like it. I like a little sandpaper. If people aren't criticizing me, and I feel out of my element. Honestly, I think it's a great question. You know what? The skills is not the separator. If you're in the NHL, I've seen this a million times, and I think back to my career. You could say what you want about my career, but I was like a sandpaper guy, right? I would get shot down or have a tough year, and I would learn mentally how to deal with it and find ways to work on it and better myself and keep improving. And I think that's where we talk about Joseph Woll. I think he has that mental capacity to manage these moments. I think he's going to continually improve because the skill set is there. We've seen it numerous times now. We looked at him last year. He was our savior, and then he didn't play game 7 because of an injury. And again, those are just things you add on to experience. And again, it's really hard to see guys have a lot of success early in their careers just because of the mental battle you have as a goalie. And you see guys start to do better as they age because of the fact you draw on those experiences in those moments and how you've dealt with it, you know how to deal with it, and you draw back upon it, right? And I think that's something that's so important. We look at Jordan Binnington in the Four Nations Cup, right? Everybody's like, well, it's a coin flip game. He's the guy you want because he knows how to deal in those moments, right? So Anthony Stolarz at a point where he's 31 years old, he has more experience. He has the way to draw upon it. So I think Joseph Woll has that plus side. And again, for me, I think that's that mental side of the game that's so important in that. It's different to be reactive, right? You go out there and play, dump a puck in, you can throw a body check, make a play. But a goalie, you're standing there by yourself. The skill set isn't much. The difference between maybe, I would say the top 10 goalies in the NHL are, they're better than everybody. And then that sandwich, those guys in between, there's not much difference. And then the guys that can separate themselves are the ones that can figure it out mentally quicker.
Hutz, thank you for doing this here tonight. With that Leafs win, on the positive side, there is also Leafs remembering that you did play for the Buffalo Sabres, and that is 14 consecutive seasons missing the playoffs.
It's nice to know it wasn't just me. It wasn't just me. I was only 3 years of that. 3 of 14 ain't too bad, buddy.
That's not too bad. Hutz, thank you as always for doing this. I appreciate you taking the time. Look forward to having you back on here during the playoffs as well. So thank you for doing this. And what's next? When are you? Where are you popping up next on Daily Faceoff Nation Network?
Know. I'm all over the map, buddy. I'll be up soon. You'll see me. Nick and you guys will keep me in the loop there.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, right, boys.
Thanks, Hutz. Appreciate it as always.
Later, Zach.
There you go. Carter Hutton hopping on here tonight to help us break down tonight's win that clinches first in the Atlantic Division. Always appreciate Hutz joining us here on the Leafs Nation After Dark show. We do have another guest who's going to be coming on here as well. There's one more who's going to be coming on. I'm excited to have him in a little bit, but before we can get there, I want to remind people, look, Hutz brought it up. He said, now we go. If there was ever a time for us to go, it would be now. So now we go. And with that, you guys know it. playoff fever is coming around the corner right now, and the Leafs Nation is your one-stop shop with live updates, top-notch analysis, and the full rundown on the ice and beyond. Follow us on social. Pop over to leafsnation.ca and catch our exclusive content on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Feeling that team spirit? Our brand new playoff merch at nationgear.ca is ready for you. Let's make it happen. Join the boys here on the Leafs Nation channel, whether it's the morning show with Nick and Rosie and Vick and Hutz when he pops on there, or myself on the Leafs Nation After Dark and Vick when he pops on here as well, and all those guys coming through as well. Join us wearing our Now We Go shirts. I think I've got... Yeah, I do. Right here. The white one, the black one, blue one in behind me somewhere over there. All of it. You guys want to get in on the action. You guys want to get your Now We Go merch. Head on over to nationgear.ca. My other guest just texted me and said, am I the other guest? Yes, you are. Hopefully you're still around and capable of coming on the show. All right. More stuff to get to here tonight. Let's get into some of the specifics. We talked a lot about the big boys and the milestones, and Anthony Stolarz getting that shutout here tonight. And I appreciate Hutz giving some of that insight in terms of like what we could look for here and the rest versus rust and getting ready for playoffs and keeping guys healthy and all that stuff. It's nice to get some insight from somebody who not only played in the league, but somebody who played that position, because I think that's the one we're all eyeing here is how the goalie rotation works. I've been the most curious about how this rolls for Anthony Stolarz as he gets ready to go into game one on Sunday, just because we're looking at, okay, Saturday night, Tuesday night, you're kind of going every other or a couple days in between, and now you're going to go Tuesday to Sunday. So you get those breaks there where it stretches things out. Does it kill the momentum? Producer Vick pointed out in the chat at one point that he hasn't lost a game since March 15th. Like, that is an unreal streak that he has built up. Back-to-back shutouts for him here now. This guy's not even going to know what it's like to let in a goal by the time he gets to the playoffs, which is a good sign here for this team as well. But those are all positive things, but those are big picture things. Like, those are your goaltending and your big boys. And asking Hutz, which I was also curious about, is, how do you get yourself or the goal scoring? Like, is that a concern for you going into it? Those are all big picture things. One of the things that I thought stood out to me here tonight was the depth, and not just scoring and Steven Lorentz opening up the scoring there, not just Nick Robertson getting on the board at the end, but actual continued depth, production, and impact on a game. There were numerous times I looked out there tonight and thought that Stolarz, Lorentz, Lawton, Yarncroke were really good together. McMahon, Robertson, Holmberg, those lines were really good together. And it wasn't just, wow, they got up and down the ice well, they moved up and down with speed, or they had a lot of skill, and they made some flashy plays. It was like winning battles along the wall, pucks in corners and getting in hard on the forecheck, closing time and space on guys, winning cycle games, winning battles down below the goal line. Like, there were numerous times those things started to happen with the bottom six guys that were either continuations off of what the first and or the second line did, or they started it for the first and the second lines to come out and build off of for them. That's important in the playoffs. A lot of time in years past, we've watched Pierre Engvall trying to go up and down, north-south, up and down the ice, east-west, whatever. We've watched Nick Patan and Alex Kerfoot and these guys who just are the same that the top six are, but just way less skilled and not the same versions because they're also paid $2 million, $2.5 million. Now you're getting a bottom six that is just built a little bit differently. Am I going to sit here and try to pretend that Pontus Holmberg and Nick Robertson are drastically different than Kerfoot and Patan and Engvall? No. But you have a coach here who can at least ask them to do things differently, hold them accountable in a different way. We've seen numerous times Nick Robertson going in and out of the lineup, up and down from the press box. And it's not just because it's for fun and he's a yo-yo out there. It's Craig Berube is demanding a very specific certain style of hockey. And once he sees those guys doing that and impacting the game and playing in that style, they can stay in. Pontus had to be healthy scratched a couple of times. We saw Bobby McMahon miss the first game of the year and has not looked back since. Nick Robertson at times has faltered and kind of gotten away from that, gotten back to old Nick Robertson and old habits and all that stuff. I'm not 100% sold that this is the best bottom six or will be the best bottom six come playoff time, and they're gonna dominate. And I think a lot of that is mostly just because I'm a Leafs fan, and I've had bad experiences like all of you watching this and believing and then getting there and having your heart ripped out. This happens year after year after year. But this is probably the most confident I've been in the bottom six, just in terms of their ability to handle playoff hockey in the Matthews era. Look at that Steven Lorentz goal that was scored tonight. That, to me, is almost the perfect encapsulation of what you want out of a fourth line going into the playoffs. Would I like Scott Laughton to play higher up in the lineup? Sure. But watch that play. Puck goes down into the corner. You're hard in on the forecheck. You end up winning the battle. Laughton goes 1-on-2 Sabres there, which, I mean, that's a whole issue for Buffalo on its own, where they're just not defensively responsible. But goes 1-on-2 into the corner, wins the battle, comes out with it, protects it, shakes two guys off, hits Steven Lorentz, who opens himself up in the slot and rips a one-timer top corner. See them celebrate. They go to the bench. Steven Lorentz kisses him on the head. Scott Laughton, Steven Lorentz, even Calle Järnkrok providing some speed down there. They're providing some versatility. They have a different look. They're a little bit heavier. They are just playing a very specific style that's just working under Craig Berube, and it's very different than anything we've seen in years past under Kyle Dubas constructed teams. And that gives me cause for hope when you get to the playoffs and you get into harder, tighter, slower, heavier games of hockey. It feels like those kinds of guys at least have the ability to not just be nulled and erased from the game anymore. They have that ability, that factor about them that is more than capable of actually stepping up and making an impact when they go out there. And that's exciting, in my opinion. We're going to get to our next guest in a second. Before we do, just quickly as well, I want to point out we did get a super chat, and I'm talking about the bottom six guys and talking about, the night that these guys had and how this is really confident for me. I don't know if I could be as confident coming away from this or as happy coming away from this as this guy who fired in this super chat here. I would be pretty pumped if I had this one as well. I would have been pretty pumped if my best bet hit here tonight too, but that's an entirely different conversation on its own, given the fact that this guy should have fucking scored at least one, let alone two. He probably could have had two by the end of the first period. But this comes from David Owens, who's probably the happiest man in the chat right now. He says, I won my Lorentz first goal scorer bet at 51 times my money. Let's go. David Owens. Now we go. Now you can head on over to nationgear.ca and get yourself some Now We Go merch after that, after a win like that. But, I mean, to have Steven Lorentz first goal scorer bet is banana lands type of stuff. I don't even know what possesses you as I sneeze or goes through your mind for you to be betting a Steven Lorentz first goal scorer. I gave out a Steven Lorentz anytime goal against the Hurricanes at like plus 1100, and I had people in the chat calling me an idiot for doing so. So, for you to fire away a Steven Lorentz first goal scorer, you've got some kahunas on you, David. Thank you for the super chat, and congratulations on that win. We do have a caller here on the show tonight, so I don't want to keep this caller waiting because it is a very special guest here on the Leafs Nation After Dark post-game show. But before we can get there, it's time now for the, let's see if I can get this right, Ninja Crispy Hotline, presented by the Ninja Crispy 4-in-1 portable glass air fryer.
Meet the first of its kind, the Ninja Crispy portable cooking system. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand, so you can cook big or small batches. Just prep it, crisp it, serve it, and store it all in one.
It is an all-in-one system that includes a 4-quart, 6-cup Tempware glass containers and 2 storage lids. The Ninja Crispy is thermal shock resistant, can go from frozen to crispy in minutes. With the Crispy Power Pod, you get the power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hands. The 4-quart container fits 4 pounds of chicken or veggies. You can cook a personal-sized meal in 7 minutes in the 6-cup container. Max, crisp, bake, air fry, and re-crisp with the Ninja Crispy. You can cook, prep, store, anything from crispy favorites to one-dish meals. Visit their website and the link in the description, and stay tuned for a chance to win a free Ninja Crispy for one of our fans. Let's get to them here now for our very special guest, welcoming to the Leafs Nation After Dark show.
Are they ready? Oh, they ain't ready. The people asked for the Lanny stash, so I'm giving them the Lanny stash. How's it going, Zach? How you feeling, buddy?
I'm feeling good. How's your wife feeling?
It's growing on her. She almost kicked me out a couple times, but we've made it. We're still in the house.
I'm happy for you, Vick. It looks good, dude. It looks good. But
I like it. It's growing on me. It is.
It looks good. When you sent it the first time, I was like, holy shit, because I just couldn't believe how it's not even the fact like how you look without the beard or anything like that or shaved down. It's how thick that mustache is. Yeah, that thing is nuts.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as it was with the beard, but it's just less. I mean, there's just less around. It pops. Yeah, it just pops way more. I'm happy it like keeps people from looking at my eyebrows. So, I mean, finally something thicker on my face than my eyebrows. But yeah, I mean, I love it. I'm happy someone asked for it. I might keep it. I don't know. The wife is getting a little annoyed by it. She keeps comparing me to people. It started with Luigi and I don't know, and on and on and on we go.
Yeah, shocker. All right, Vic, I'm not going to keep you for too long. I did just want to at least be able to show off that beautiful muzzy you've got here. Let's get some thoughts from you. First in the Atlantic Division, first time this team has done so. Milestone nights, I mean, I put out the scumbag tweet about Mitch Marner. Just you knew that one was going to fire some people up. But he gets 100 points for the first time in his career. I don't actually know if he got the one on the Matthews goal as well. So, I mean, at least
I don't know. Is he at 101 now or? I thought that was unassisted.
Got the one, unassisted. Yeah. So he just gets the one, but 100 points for the first time in his career probably eases a lot of the pressure and uncertainty and anxiety going into Thursday's game. Matthews also, I mean, it's not like he was chasing like 70 like he was last year, but hits 400 on the career. That one's under the belt and out of the way. 6 1/3 pointed out. 6th fastest player in NHL history, I think he said, to reach 400 career goals. I mean, for these guys to have this all at this point in the season and what's kind of been a weird year where like it's not really felt like these chases and accomplishments have been at the forefront. The North Division year was the one thing they were chasing it, and Matthews 50-goal season, 60-goal season, those were the forefront. This kind of just became a Leafs thing. Hey, Marner could get this, JT could get to 40, Matthews could get to 400, but it was not really that much pressure. First in the Atlantic Division, first time. It's all kind of just been things they did and not like this massive story. What have you made of it so far this year? And just like, does this mean anything to you finishing first in the Atlantic Division for the first time?
Okay. Let me start with the milestones. Last season, 69 for Austin. The chase for 70 fell short. Willie hit 40, tied his career high, didn't score for the last 10 games.
Yeah.
Couldn't break the career high. Mitch didn't hit 100. And it was ending the season on disappointment. 69 goal season ended off in a disappointment because he didn't hit that mark that everybody wanted him to hit. And it seems like even at that level, we were disappointed in the end of the season. This year, everyone hit their marks, and now they're going into the playoffs on a high. I think that's a great thing for this team.
Yeah.
I really think it was a little bit understated how disappointing the end of the regular season was last year. I don't think it was talked about much.
It was like very deflating, honestly.
Yeah,
when it shouldn't have been, right? But it was.
Yeah, and it's like we kind of poo-pooed a 69 goal season from the best player we've had on our roster since God knows when, maybe ever. So I really love that Willie got off the career high. He had 40, and then immediately now he's at 45. Austin hit his mark. Mitch hit his mark, and now we go into the playoffs rolling. I really want Nice to get the next one too. I think he's at 29, right? If I'm not mistaken. It would be awesome to see him get his first 30-goal season. I think he's at 29 right now.
I thought he was a little bit more short than that, but I could be wrong, honestly.
I don't. Yeah,
he's at 29.
29. Okay, so yeah, let's get him one more. Okay, now with the Atlantic Division, that was the top goal for me this regular season. Nothing else mattered. I know. Look, we're talking about all these personal accolades, and it's great for all the personal achievements and whatever. I didn't care how they got it done. I wanted to win the division because that's the one thing that we haven't seen in this 9-year dry spell is this team make it easy on themselves. Other than, yes, I know the bubble year, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
North Division champions. I don't even count that year. It was heartbreaking, disappointing year, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. This was the goal this year. Win the division. They say it in football all the time. Get that home game. Get the easier matchup to start. Play the wild card team. Avoid any of the Tampa teams. And now there's no excuses. Mm-hmm. Now you have no excuses. Go in there and show Ottawa who the better team is. Brady Tkachuk banged up, this, that. Stützle is a diver. Claude Giroux is the leaf killer. Linus Ullmark is the best goalie, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't care who you're talking about. The Leafs, top to bottom, are a way, way better team, and they need to go out and prove it.
And, I mean, Vic, the other thing, too, is, like, in talking about these quiet things that have gone on, I mean, it's probably louder for other people around the league, and I'm going to get to all these super chats that we've got here as well that are just pouring in right now. But, I mean, another thing that's gone under the rug and just kind of being quiet is 50 regular season wins.
Yep.
You know, like we talked about taking a step back under Craig Berube, and I was asked the other day on the last show, actually it was on Sunday night, about my thoughts on if I thought that they would have got to 50 wins and if I could have foreseen this. And I said, you know, I don't know if I would have foreseen the wins. Probably about the point total is where I thought it could have been at. You know, it's between that 105, maybe 115 on the higher end if they had a really, really good season. But this is probably where I expected that. And, you know, that's obviously just taking into account where you're at with going to overtimes and picking up points there. Yeah. And that would have kind of been where I thought, even if you ended up hitting 100 or being just around that mark, that probably wouldn't have been unexpected. Given what we thought was going to happen with some of the discomfort and changes in voice in the room, whether it was from new players brought in like Chris Tanev to be around and be a part of this, or then later in the year Brandon Carlo, or the new goalies that you're rolling through there, or the coach that comes in. This is the, I believe, third time in franchise history you've recorded 50 wins in a season. This is the first time you've recorded 51. And there were people poo-pooing the Craig Berube hire and looking at it saying, it's a worse team, it's a more boring team, you know, you've got these offensive players, they can't play this style. This is the best season that they've had, regular season wins-wise, in the entire history of the franchise. Vick. Now, sure, some seasons had less games. I understand that, so it's hard to just completely compare that. But sitting here watching a team that's been around for 100+ years and seeing them now get 51 wins, which is the best in the Matthews era and the best in franchise history, I mean, it's pretty incredible to see, especially compared to where we were to start the season and probably even about halfway through the year, given all the feedback we were getting about how this coach was going to kill this team.
Yeah, and it's funny how the start of the season was Sheldon Keefe is going to win Coach of the Year. He's the Jack Adams favorite going to New Jersey. No more pressure. He's going to play in the coach in the real NHL. Coaching in Toronto isn't the real NHL. And how quickly that quieted down.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of discussion this morning on Morning Cup of Hockey. Well, I wasn't talking. I was behind the scenes, obviously. But they were talking about what's going on with the New York Rangers and who's to blame there. Drury for setting Peter Laviolette up with a bunch of, I don't know, let's call it disastrous trades and a lot of fuckery going on in the locker room.
Yeah.
Or is Peter Laviolette more to blame for not getting the most out of these guys? So now I want to flip that conversation. And who do you think deserves more credit? Craig Berube for coaching these guys, or Brad Treliving for putting quite possibly the best decor I've seen, best 1 to 6 for sure that I've probably ever seen on the ice?
I kind of want to give both credit, but I think that the majority of it's going to go to Brad Treliving because I think he basically reversed what Kyle Dubas did. We had KPG on the show the other day, and I talked about how Dubas tried to reinvent the wheel and build from the top down, which traditionally has not really been the most successful model or successful at all in the NHL, really. You need goaltending, you need defense, and then you need a strong defensive system. And then you need guys who are able to score. Like, that's the thing that pushes you over the top when you get down into those tight, gritty, muddy games. This team has always just lacked a piece of that. And for the most part, it's come from the bottom end of things. It's come from the goalie who lets in the goal off the ass from the goal line, or from the wall on a rush play like Ilya Samsonov and Trent Frederic. Like, you've let in those dagger goals. And then okay, maybe it's not him. The goalie's playing really well. It's the defenseman throwing a pizza up the middle or making a bad pinch because you just have these guys you don't trust or guys who just get pushed around physically. Craig Berube came in here after Brad Treliving joined this group and started to implement his vision, which was basically just using what Dubas had and reversing it and saying, thank you for giving me these scoring forwards. I'm going to fix all the other shit you constantly fucked up. And he went with immediately big, heavy, tall defensemen on the back end. You just look at the average height and weight of the Leafs D with Dubas compared to with Treliving. It started there. Then he goes and brings in Anthony Stolarz this offseason, and they had Wall locked up. And just adding these pieces together here, Vic, he started it. The thing that I give Craig Berube a lot of credit for here is just continuing to successfully implement the vision, which I think is, I was trying to figure out how I was going to word it. I think that's probably the best way for me to do so. You have to actually be able to execute on what the plan is that the GM has put forth and the players you have in the room. Craig Berube has knocked this out of the park in terms of what he was given, what Treliving envisioned for the team, and the players that he has here, putting it to use on the ice.
That's a great way to look at it. Like, the way you put it with Dubas already, he kind of gave him the mold. Like, you gave you the core.
Yeah.
You don't really have to, you're building around it the same way he did, but building that back end and building from the net out is something we haven't seen since I'm trying to think back to all the Leafs teams I cheered for. Like, I think Brian Burke tried it with Bolsheman and Komisarek. We saw how that went. But he tried. He tried to build it from the net out and build the decor first. But we have never seen anything like this. And it's crazy to me to see just how far this decor has come. Like, it was, Tyson Barrie, Morgan Riley, like I don't
Rasmus,
even remember.
Sandin, Timothy Liljegren, Martin Marincin, Justin Hall.
The Justin Halls, the like Ron Hainsey. I think we had Matt Hunwick playing on the top pair. These guys, it's just one after the other of just not. It's not there. And
yeah,
what you said too about Berube getting the most out of this roster is really, really awesome as well to see, because I had a little rant that went kind of viral, swearing and cussing, and he was not safe from that. I was giving it to everybody, and he got a little bit of that because we were preaching accountability, and we hadn't seen it to that point. Since then, I don't want to say they heard me or whatever, but since that game, it seems like they flipped a switch and people started standing up for each other. And I've had way less to yell and scream and curse and cuss about. And it's fun to see. It's fun to watch a team that clearly looks like they have each other's backs. It's fun to see a team, again, with the Brandon Carlo edition, a team that stands up in front of their goalie, doesn't let anybody in there. I saw a tweet today from a Buffalo Sabres writer, and he said, Buffalo has got nothing up the middle. They need to get more traffic. Leafs defense is forcing them to the outside. And I was like, what world am I living in? This is like a bizarro world tweet I'm reading here. This is what I've read about the Toronto Maple Leafs my entire fucking life.
Yeah.
So it was good to see that from the other side too. And I want everybody to know that, yes, we yell and we scream at this team and we cuss and we get mad and we get upset. But guess what? We're fucking Leaf fans and we watch every game and we chew down our fingernails and we will believe. Even if we don't believe, we hope. And I hope with everybody else, like even when I'm angry, even if I don't have all the faith in the world that this team is going to push through and battle when it gets tough and whatever, guess what? I'm going to watch every game. I'm going to hope that they do. And maybe this year is the first time they do since 1967.
Yeah, I mean, look, there was definitely points in the year that it was worthy of getting mad at them. We're kind of like in a reflection period here just of the regular season. The playoffs will be a whole different animal. But, you know, I think that that's just kind of a good way for us to look at it here as well, as getting the most out of this team and finding a way for it to work. Because, Vic, there was a point at the beginning where it felt like it was far too much Craig Berube. It was way, way too much that way, where it was like, you can't score anything. This is boring. And there was times where it was like, the big boys don't look like they can do this. Then there was times where they would swing right the opposite direction. And we were sitting here going, where the fuck is the defense? And then it was all goaltending saving everything. Like it was just bouncing back and forth. We got to a point finally, where it's like both can work. The big boys can score goals. You don't have to win 6-5, but you could win 3-1, 4-1, 2-1 if you need to. Your goaltending's good enough and your defense is strong enough to not give up too many crazy chances. So I think it's all worked out well. Two things I have to do here. So, one, we hit 50 likes on the show. There's a few hundred people watching here right now. So if more people hit the like button, then we could easily have to do Smelling Salts more. But keep hitting that like button, subscribing here to the channel. And Vic, we also have a ton of super chats.
I know how many times did I get roasted in this chat?
A lot. So yeah.
I just kept looking over. Everyone had someone different that I looked like.
There you go. There's the smelling salts. Okay, let's get to 100 there. But Vic, let's bang through these super chats because a lot of them are for you specifically. So
hit the animation. I want to take a drink.
Let's do it. All right. Okay. Let's start with this. I'll just bang through the ones for you. This is from Tammy. Borat called. He wants his mustache back.
My wife.
Okay. This is from Dan Freeman. Nick Alberga growing 3 mustaches on his face for November is a close second to this.
Nick gets roasted on a daily basis by somebody somewhere on this network. It happens literally daily. I love it.
Nick, if you're watching, I didn't want to read that. It was a super chat. I had to
Super
read
chat.
it. Super chat. What else do we got for you here? I think those are the only super chats that came in about you. Oh no, this is the other one. This one's from our friend Mitch Marner's Vulva. Super chat money well spent to get V a cap that fits.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, they were yelling at me last time. I have 2 more of these on the way. They go to a great cause, Butchie OT for Parkinson's. So John Butchie Gross's website. Shout them out too.
Okay. More super chats let's get to here on this one. This one I'll get you here on, and then we'll get you out on this, Vic. Let's start with this. This is from Mitch Marner's Vulva. My number one concern is that the Battle of Ontario will go from being intense to being nasty with lots of penalties, and since the PK is arguably a weakness,
I don't know about weakness, but they have struggled in big moments all season.
yeah,
I do think. Like when Florida was pushing at the end, and I think Holmberg took a dumb penalty, the one we won, and we had a 2-goal lead, and Sam Reinhart scored to make it a 1-goal game and put the fear of God in us at the end of that game. So, I mean, I can remember a few of these where it's like we need a kill here and we don't get it. But again, I don't think it's a weakness if we're all healthy on the back end. If Morgan Riley's not penalty killing, is that the only guy that I don't want penalty killing? Might be.
yeah, probably.
Benny's fine. Tanev's fine.
OEL's
fine. McCabe's fine. Who am I missing? Carlo. Yeah, I'm good with everyone. As long as Riley doesn't have to penalty kill because so-and-so is injured, I'm happy. I think they're fine. Do you like Matthews and Marner killing still?
I just saw this super chat. I don't know how it's not in the queue. I don't know if you could see the queue. It's not in the queue. I'll answer it in a second. Sorry, I'm going to answer your question because I just didn't see that and I see it there now. I'm fine with them penalty killing, and I think a lot more teams have started to go with this, and I mean, Wyshynski and Merrick talked about it on the sheet earlier today. Just how, we're seeing more offensive players and star players playing on the penalty kill, etc., and just kind of changing the look up and becoming more dangerous and all that kind of stuff. So I don't mind it. I don't have any issue with it. The thing that I'm more so 2 parts to this. One would be, I think my counterpoint would be, I feel like the Leafs are smart enough to not get, and disciplined enough to not get drawn into that stuff. The one thing I think with Ottawa that's going to be different than Boston, Tampa, Florida, is those guys had veterans who were part of your group who gets a little bit rowdy, who had been there and been in playoff series and gone the distance. Maybe not won, but they had seen it. So they know where the line is. So they get into the playoffs and they can go right up to it without going over. And they know how to straddle that gray area, especially in playoff time. I wonder about the Senators and just how much or how they're going to be able to handle playing playoff hockey without going insane. We see them at times in series that we've played against them during regular season, the regular season series we played against them, where it's like somebody on their team just fucking loses their mind because they're being a hero and they're like, Toronto versus Ottawa, and they go ballistic and just lose all concept of what's going on. And in the regular season, that's one thing. When things are heightened, I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a lack of that. So I'm wondering how they're going to handle it. Now, the concern for me, which I really don't want to talk about tonight, but because the power play actually looked good, but it's the power play and the execution. 1 for 21, I think, was the stat in the playoffs last year against Boston. You had your chances. You didn't capitalize. Are you going to score in your chances against Ottawa? in terms of penalties and that kind of stuff, I think they're going to be okay. I think that they're going to be able to handle it, not get sucked into it, not kill themselves on the PK. So I think I'm fine with that.
The thing is, this is the first time that the Leafs have more experience than their opponent, other than, again, that Montreal series. Well, again, even then, like, it was Carey Price versus Jack Campbell, so they had the experience where it mattered most. But is this the first time that the Toronto Maple Leafs have more experience than their opponent in a playoff scenario?
I think so, yeah.
So now you have to dictate the pace of play. You have to dictate how the game is going to be played. Play it as rough as you want it to be played, and don't get suckered into their bullshit, because they have a couple rats on there. We know what Brady Tkachuk's going to get up to. We know Ridley Gregg is going to be Ridley Gregg, and we already know about the animosity there. So Morgan Riley, for example, keep your stick down. We don't need any suspensions in the playoffs. We've had we had Bunting get suspended. We've had for hitting Chernak. We've had Kadri twice. I think Kyle Clifford even got suspended one year for hitting someone from behind like a minute into the game. Like, it's a big, the moment is big. It's a big moment. You come in, the crowd is amped, that you walk into Scotiabank Arena. It's not loud usually. And then you walk in on a playoff game one, the towels are going, everybody's rowdy. Everybody gets a little more excited. So you just got to be able to keep your cool. You've been here before, and just play like you have more goddamn experience, because you do.
Nazem Kadri, I was trying to remember how many times he was suspended, because I said twice, but I was trying to make sure. It was like, was it twice or has it been more? 3 total, twice with the Leafs. He was suspended in 2018, 3 games for boarding Tommy Wingles in game 1.
Oh my God. That hit was quite literally the most dangerous hit I've ever seen. I'm not kidding. Like, Wingles' head, his face is up against the boards, and Kadri jumps in with his ass and flattens his face up against the wall. Yeah. Like, you can't do that. You can't do that, man.
Yeah, that
was
tough.
Literally one of the worst hits I've ever seen.
He was suspended in 2019 for the remainder of the first round series against Boston after cross-checking Jake DeBrusk in the head during Game 2.
Yep.
And then he was suspended in the 2021 playoffs with Colorado for 8 games for an illegal check to the head of St. Louis Blues defenseman Justin Falk in Game 2 of the first round series.
Yep. Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like, you get amped. Don't get too amped, because that type of shit happens and it costs you.
Yeah.
The year, I think it was the second year, was, I don't know if we had John Tavares yet. I think we had Matthews, Kadri, Bozak, Plekanec up the middle. And then Kadri gets hurt and Plekanec has to move up. And you just lose that center depth, that edge that no one can mess with a 4Cs like that. And that's like the strength, and you lose it because he gets amped up. That being said, trade for him again tomorrow and come back to my team, because I think we've missed. It's like when he left, the whole entire team lost any edge that they had, and everyone was playing a little scared. Like, I don't want to get suspended. I don't know what it is, but I miss Nas. I'll tell you that.
Okay, I got one last thing for you, and I'll let you go here.
Right.
This is the super chat that I had missed, so I'm going to hit an super chat animation, because it is a $50 super chat as well. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Dan Freeman says, producer Vick looking like a ghetto Freddie Mercury.
He's not wrong. I love it. Thank you, Dan Freeman. I know it was a big one for sure. Dan's the best. Dan's the man. I love Dan Freeman.
Yes, Dan is the man.
I saw so many, like, Vic looks like Michael Pena. Like, oh my God, I gotta Cheech Marin.
I saw that one.
What else do I got here? Oh my God, there were so many. There's some good ones. Pablo Escobar.
Oh God, that's good.
And then I did see one chat. Sorry, that I just want to get into just really, really, really quickly.
Yeah.
I think it was from the Phenom. He said, Vick, 69 goals, disappointment, come on, or something like that. And I did not mean it was a disappointment. I meant more of a letdown at the end of the season because everyone was so hyped with 2 games left. He had 69. Everyone just wanted to see 70. And it was like the balloon deflated at the end of the year. Everyone thought it was going to happen. Everyone was pumped for it, and it just never did. It was kind of like the Habs shootout yesterday, where everyone, Demidov comes in, all the hype is there, and you're expecting to win, and then some weird shit happens, and everyone kind of just quiets down, and they lose, and everyone just exits the building quietly.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Yeah. All right, Vic. Thank you for calling in here tonight. I appreciate it. I wanted you to be able to show off that muzzy. I didn't know what you were gonna do with it come playoffs.
Steve Harvey.
Yeah, Steve Harvey was the other one that was sent. All right, I'll let you get out of here.
Brown Lanny McDonald. What would Brown Lanny McDonald, Lanny Muhammad? All right, on that note, I'm out.
Thanks, Vic. I appreciate you calling in. There's producer Vic in the Leafs Nation After Dark. Thank you to Vic for calling into the show here tonight. Let's get to our next segment as we keep tonight's show moving on. We have been live for over an hour here. We have over 300 viewers. We have over 100 likes, so I'll do the smelling salts in a moment. I've got a bunch more super chats that I want to get to, but I'm going to try to be a little bit more of a professional and not leave all my segments at the very, very, very end. So I'm going to get here to one of my segments right now. We talked about the positive goal that was scored earlier, or positive super chat. That was the Steven Lorentz first goal earlier. Well, it's time for me to break down my best bet for tonight's game. And as I do so, breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win is a barn burner. Every face-off, hat trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, and every suspenseful minute in between is amazing. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, an official partner of the NHL. Download the Bet365 app and use the code NATION, NATION, to get in on the game. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connexontario.ca. Unfortunately, tonight's best bet does lose. That brings us to a profit of $829 on the season. That would be a profit of 8.29 units if you've been following along with the unit sizing and staking and bankroll management. You know, I have continued to hit some of these longer shot ones. Tonight was the biggest one that I tried to hit. I said it earlier in the pregame. I didn't think that one was going to win. I expected it to lose is a better way to put it. You know, I'm trying to hit a plus 8,000 and 80-1 on a bet. And tonight's best bet was Max Domi to record 2+ goals here tonight. We took a swing. I laid out all my reasoning, how he's had two goal games against Buffalo. He's played really well against the Sabres in his time in Toronto, almost a point per game in those games against the Sabres. I was feeling good. I was feeling good in the first period. And then he just didn't capitalize. Max started the game well. He started the game with some fire, some intensity. He had a great chance early on. JT hits him, can't score. Then in the second period, he drives around UPL, empty net, can't score. He has the one-timer at the side, can't score. I was sitting there just going, of all the nights to have given out a bet, like this was the one I would have wanted to hit so bad. It was $10, 0.1 of a unit. It would have doubled the profit we have on the show this year. It would have taken us from $839 profit to $1,639 in profit. And in all honesty, a lot of times I feel like we can legitimately come here after and say like, yeah, that bet had no chance, or okay, I was close, but like wouldn't make that again. Like Lorentz against Carolina on Sunday. Like it just wasn't that close. I took a shot, Tried to hit a bigger plus number. It didn't hit. This bet tonight, I was so annoyed. So annoyed that this didn't hit. He should have scored. I know I can just say that in hindsight. He should have scored. But, guys, he should have scored. Probably like 3. And we just didn't get one from Domi here. I was so devastated that he didn't get it. I wanted that one for everyone who tailed. I wanted that one myself. I wanted it for the record. Like, I wanted all of it. I was so pumped with how that game started. And then Domi just doesn't get it over the edge. But regardless, it's a losing bet. It loses $10 for us tonight. That would be 0.1 units, brings us to $829 profit on the season, and that would be 8.29 units. We are up this year. So sorry, everyone. Sorry for the loss. I wanted that one bad. It does not happen. It does not happen. All right, we got 100 likes here on the show tonight. Appreciate everyone who liked the stream. Thank you guys very much. Here are the smelling salts for liking the stream. 100. If you guys get to 150, 200, whatever, I'll do more. But thank you guys. Whoops. And I have a bunch of super chats that I've got to get to. I just threw smelling salts everywhere. Oh, there you go. Only need a bit more there to get to the next set of 50 before we do it again, as I quite literally sprayed smelling salts all over my desk. And we have more super chats. Let's run through some of these super chats here now. Also, I see Canadian Big Mac say, Zack, I am picking up a case of Guinness for the playoff run. Hopefully it will be more victory drinking than trauma repair. I hope so as well. I hope so for your case as well. I see a bunch of super chats here, so don't worry, I haven't missed them. They're all in this link, in the queue. Sorry, not in the link. All right, let's start with the super chats that we do have waiting. This one comes again. Mitch Marner's vulva. Leafs had 54 wins in 2021, 2022, but agreed great year. Wait, actually? I could have sworn 2021, 2022? Oh, yeah, they did. I don't know why I have achieved 50 or more set of franchise 2021, 2022. That's why. Yeah, that's on me. Yeah, that's on me. I don't know how that one I missed or went by, but I clicked on the wrong tab. I clicked on the one tab, read the wins, clicked away. Which years they got it. Yeah. Thank you for the correction there. That does help. That is appreciated. Another super chat. Mike Bammy. Thank you, Mike, for the super chat. Where's the praise for Dakota Mermis? This dude has looked real good filling in for OEL. Yeah, I mean, kudos to Dakota Mermis for stepping up and in. I think that he did a good job in the minutes that he played. I think that he did a good job, given the task that he had, just knowing, hey, you're not going to be here. You're not going to be a regular on this team past regular season. Thursday, if he even plays in that one, depending on what you end up getting from Jake McCabe or OEL. If either of those guys come back, Dakota Mermis is gone. I thought that he played pretty well in his minutes. I thought that he understood his role, which I think is the most important thing in a spot like this, where you don't want to get a guy to come up and play hero ball and try to be like the guy and stand out. 14 minutes of ice time here tonight. It's by far the least of any defenseman on the Toronto Maple Leafs. 17 minutes was Philippe Myers, who is the next closest. You have 1956 for Benoit, 1953 for Carlo, which is kind of interesting there on its own. Tanev, 20 minutes and 28. Morgan Rielly, 21:51. You can clearly tell that Berube kind of tried to spread some things out, but basically the biggest thing was, hey, don't be a black hole back there. Don't be a big reason for anything going wrong one way or another, and just make sure you can kind of get through those minutes. Help us out here. We need bodies because we have 2 defensemen who are out of the lineup. With that said, the other guy who probably deserves some praise as well is Philippe Myers. He spent a lot of time in the press box. It became pretty clear that he was going to be the 7th defenseman, whether it's Berube or Tree Living, who just doesn't foresee him being in the lineup in playoff time. You could tell he was the odd man out, and he wasn't going to get to go back. They just kept running Benoit over and over again. At that point, that could be dejecting. You know, there could be a piece of you that feels disconnected, that feels like you're never going to get another go. You get a chance here, and it's not because of play, it's because of injury, and Jake McCabe goes down, and then OEL goes down, and your role all of a sudden drastically increases, and I thought he played well in his minutes. You know, Philippe Myers kind of stepped in, played some PK time, played some late game situation stuff, played some tougher matchups than you'd probably like him to, just given who you had out of the lineup, filled in alongside Morgan Rielly to open the game here tonight. Like, he just played well, given what you were asking of him in the minutes that he had. I think that that's kind of the best that you could ask for. And it's like guys like that this year who have stepped in and found ways to be effective in the minutes that they've had, be effective in the opportunities that they've been given, not try to do too much, and just kind of play well within the system. Be good system guys. Be good team guys. Rotating through different positions and chances and opportunities that you've had from guys. Just a good effort from Dakota Mermis jumping up, from Philippe Myers jumping up with this team. Like, kudos to those guys. That's the most that you could ask for down the stretch while you're at least trying to get some guys back healthy. You know, you could have had years past where guys have gone in there and just been atrocious and really screwed you. Not the case with these guys who have filled in, especially as you gear up for the playoffs. More super chats. This one comes from Dan Freeman. Dan, again, thank you. Dan Freeman says, okay, Vick and Philly and Nick and Rosie are awesome. Thank you. Jokes is a jokes to the first part. Jokes Stoli 3 shutouts in his last 4 games. Now we go. Yes, now we go, Dan Freeman. That is correct. Everyone there replying, let's get it. They believe. Everyone is excited about that. I mean, that's got to be a good sign for your goaltender. Getting hot at the right time. We worried all season, like, is this too early? You know, is this heating up too early? Are you doing this at the right time? Like, what's going on? How are you going to handle this? What if there's a slump? And then all of a sudden they did slump, and then we kind of said, hey, maybe this is having a bad time. And there they go, heating up again. So, thanks for the super chat, and agreed. Maxentius Decimus, I'll read this one with the other one that comes in next. Maxentius Decimus says, saw Mitchie's 100 alive. Benoit / Tanev are beasts. Go Leaf, go. Go Leafs, go. Congrats, Maxentius. And the other one that goes along with this is KPG, who says, I'm sitting with Maxentius and other lads having wings and beer by KeyBank Arena celebrating Matthews 400. Marner 100, and Leafs clinching first. Go Leafs, go. Yeah, it's an exciting night. You know, it didn't happen too early. It didn't get pushed off to the last game. We didn't have to sweat that last game against Detroit. Do you get the point? Does Tampa beat Florida? Like, we didn't have to worry about any of that. You needed 1 point, and you take care of business. You take it into control. It's a 4-0 win. Yeah, maybe it's not actually a 4-0 game, but it's a 4-0 win for this Leafs team. You get those milestones out of the way. They're not hanging over your head. They're not disappointments going into the postseason. Like, it's out of the way. It's cleared. You don't have to overextend yourself on Thursday against Detroit. Spread the minutes. Play Nick Robertson for 18 fucking minutes for all I care. Play them. Spread the lineups out. I don't care. Just get healthy, get through Thursday healthy, get out of that. Let's get to the playoffs. We know it's the Battle of Ontario. We know you locked up first. We know the milestones are achieved. Who cares? Shout out to the boys, Max NTS and KPG, still showing up to the After Dark show, still supporting the channel here, and being down in Buffalo while they do so. So thank you guys. Thanks to everyone who's watching while having wings and beers by KeyBank Arena. Thank you very much. Hopefully you're enjoying your night, and hopefully you enjoy this win here against the Sabres. More Super Chats. KPG. Oh, wait, I already read that. Dan Freeman. I took Lorenz tonight on my Tim's picks because you didn't hit the $20 bet last game, and I hit Marner on Tim's. Couldn't hit the third, though. Zack, Aston, Reese. Well, good job on hitting Lorenz, you and David Owens. Congrats to both of you guys. Good job on hitting the Marner. That's 2 at least. I know 3 for 3 would have been a nice night here. Regardless, 2 for 3, pretty solid. It's pretty hard to bat 1,000. Another super chat here. Mitch Marner's Vulva says, now that the Leafs have won home rink advantage against everyone but the Caps, it's certainly worth noting how genuinely poor Ottawa is on the road. Mitch Marner's Vulva, appreciate the super chat. I'm glad that the Leafs locked up home ice advantage. It's interesting too, like, last year, I'll pull it up just to confirm so I don't speak out of my ass, but this year on home ice, 26, 13, and 1. On the road, 25, 13, and 3. You're basically even. And you take away one win. I guess you've got one more home game here on Thursday against Detroit. You take away one of those wins, and then you lose on Thursday. You would have had identical records home and on the road. And very good records both, might I add. Home record, though, 26, 13, and 3. Last year for this Leafs, 26, let me read that again. 26, 13, and 1. Last year for this Leafs team, 22, 15, and 4. So you were 22 and 19 basically at home. This year, you are 25 and 16. That's a much better feeling. Just knowing how you've been on home ice and how you've performed and how your goaltenders have been on home ice. Like, having that all just off your shoulders ahead of the playoffs, sure, the playoff demons are there, but like some of these things have just been alleviated from the cloud that could hang over you. Like, imagine you go into playoffs knowing the demons you've already had. Now let's add in, so you've had your playoff woes in the years past. Then you throw in, oh, Mitch didn't hit 100. Then you throw in Matthews doesn't reach 400. And you have a goaltending battle because neither guy has pushed themselves above the other. Or you have, oh, Ottawa's beaten us this many times in the regular season. And you build in all these things into this cloud going over you in the playoffs. That's unnecessary baggage to carry in. Look, I'm not saying the team is going to have so much success and go to the Cup Finals because they've gotten these things out of the way, but it just feels like some pressure is off your shoulders from some of the stuff that you could have carried from the regular season. First in the Atlantic for the first time ever. Career milestones. Pressure is off. Get the fuck to the playoffs feeling well. Feeling good about yourselves. Feeling good about your season. Last super chat. Another one from Mitch Marner's Volva. Oh, wait. Never mind. That's the exact same one I just read. That is all the super chats for tonight. Let's get to a couple of more things here before we can wrap up the show, which would include some more segments we have here tonight. I think that we covered it all. I think we got all the super chats, the big comments that I saw there, anything that I wanted to address. Just anything from tonight's game that was positive or maybe possibly concerning. The questions I had for Huts. Again, appreciate Carter Hutton for jumping on the show here tonight. Appreciate Vick jumping on to showcase his new freaky mustache that he's got going on. Let's get to a couple more things before we can wrap up the show tonight. Let's start with our play of the game. I think my play of the game for tonight is going to be I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want my play of the game to be the entire sequence of saves by Anthony Stolarz to end the game and to finish with a shutout. He really had to work for that shutout tonight. Finishes tonight's game with 35 saves. The Buffalo Sabres finished this game with, I think it was over 4 expected goals. There were plenty of opportunities for the Sabres to get one. And yeah, sure, some of it's luck, but a lot of it was reactionary saves. Like the amount of times Stolarz reads the play and gets there and make sure he is reacting to what is happening quickly, moving with some speed, some athleticism to get across, reading the play, anticipating what's going to happen, being ahead of it. I thought he was exceptional. We talk about the Marner points. We can talk about the Marner points, We can talk about the Matthews 400 career. Those deserve honorable mentions on their own just to reach those feats. But a lot of that could have been kind of unraveled or made, less of a story if Anthony Stolarz doesn't make those saves. It goes up 2-0. He has that insane sequence of saves at the end there. The Leafs did give up a few decent chances, as Huts brought up. The 6-on-5 could use some work. But down the stretch, they did give up a few decent chances. He comes up massive, makes incredible saves. I mean, if not for him, could have potentially been a little bit hairy to end that one. Let's just put it that way. The other ones, obviously, though, do go to Matthews and Marner. Another super chat. Dan Freeman, this is kind of along the lines of what I was saying there. Play of the game is Stoli in the last 5 minutes. Yes, Dan, thank you for the super chat. $135 raised here tonight. Proceeds do go to Sick Kids Charity. But let's get out of here on our final segment of tonight, and that would be our grade of the game. And our grade of the game is presented by our friends at Greta Bar YYZ. I know some people are getting mad about the Z. Greta Bar YYZ. Greta Bar YYZ, our friends over there. Great spot before, during, and after the game. Check out the great street food menu and games in the arcade. Weekly drink specials. Greta Bar is the place to be. 590 King Street West. Greta Bar. Let the games begin. Grade of the game tonight. You know what? I'm going to go off vibes and vibes alone. Tonight is simple for me. Tonight, it's a simple one. I'm going with an A+. First in the Atlantic. Tight defensive game. Power play, not the most successful, but I thought that they were slinging it around pretty well. I don't care who your opponent is. I don't care that you went 0 for 2. You gotta at least have the process looking good, because that's something that we've seen these guys just look like shit. Like, there's numerous times they've just looked like shit in the playoffs. And it's like, well, no fuck, they're not scoring. They can't move it around. They're not moving their feet. The puck moves slower than, the defenders do who are chasing you down. You can't create time and space. You're not getting tight to the net. You're not getting good looks off. You're not moving the puck to the middle of the ice. I know they went 0 for 2 tonight against Buffalo, but I thought that they looked good. And I don't care that it was the Sabres. Like, I just want to see some of those things mentally start to build into these guys' heads. The process of it start to build in. You looked better on the power play tonight. That was a bonus to me. You go 2 for 2 on the penalty kill. Your goalie gets a shutout. 35 save shutout. You reach your milestones. You secure the Battle of Ontario. You take matters into your own hands. Like, all of these things, just as a Leafs fan, you have to feel positive about the way that this game went tonight. Buffalo, it's a nightmare situation for this team. Travel down to QEW, it's close enough, but also it's on the road. And, you've struggled in Buffalo before. You struggled against the Sabres. You struggled against some of these poor teams. Not now. Find ways to win. Find ways to get points. Find ways to get through games. Buffalo, in a game that they could have yanked this from you and they could have beat you in reg and made it uncomfortable, you won 4-0. Yeah, it was 2-0 until late, but it was 4-0. You got depth scoring. Steven Lorentz, your fourth line, scores. Scott Laughton, by the way, looks a lot better. You had Benoit step up in the lineup. Dakota Mermis comes from the minors. You had Philippe Myers, who's barely played over the last 2 months. All these guys step in, fill into their roles nicely, just get the job done. Nick Robertson on the board here again. Shocker. I mean, this guy sits in the press box for 8 games or whatever it was and comes back and lights the world on fire. No shit, Nick Robertson does that. This is expected. But that goal, again, comes off of Pontus Holmberg. Hustle. Win the battle along the wall. Get the puck across to Robertson in the middle. Scores on a breakaway. Capitalize on opportunities. You're getting depth scoring. Your big boys are on the board. Matthews, Marner, score here tonight. It's just all positives for me. I know there's a lot we could look into from the negative side, but I just don't feel like going down that path here tonight. I feel like if you're a Leafs fan, you got to feel happy about this game. You got to walk away knowing, hey, there was even a part of them that's just thinking, let's get the fuck out of here. Let's get out of here healthy. Let's go back to our own beds. Let's shut this thing down. You win this game, you lock it up, you move on. One more game left, and then the dance begins. So it's exciting stuff, but it's an A+ for me on the show tonight. That'll do it for tonight's post-game show. We have one more to close out the regular season. That will be Thursday after the game against the Detroit Red Wings. Game 82 of the regular season. So we'll have a pregame video coming out here on this channel. We will have a post-game show live immediately after. Thursday, if you are a viewer of the After Dark show and you're willing to, mark your calendars. I want calls. I might set it up and we'll just bang through them fast, but I want 3 to 5 minutes each person, maybe a little bit longer depending, and I want people to come on here. I want recaps of your thoughts on the season, on Thursday night's game potentially. We'll see how that goes, and I want your predictions going into the playoffs, because Thursday night, by the way, is the last time I will hear you guys before game 1 of the playoffs. So we'll be in the chats, and I'll see you on Friday morning's Leafs Morning Take and throughout the rest of the week, but I want predictions. I want thoughts on the playoffs. I want you guys calling in. I want Thursday to be a fan and chat heavy show. Get involved. Get on the line. Mark your calendars Thursday night following the Leafs Red Wings game. I might not even talk about Leafs Red Wings. I might just strictly talk to you guys about how we're feeling about how the season went and the playoffs. I want you involved. Thank you all for watching here tonight. Appreciate the support as always. Oh, shit. there's one more super chat there. Final super chat comes in from Cameron Huffman. I'll play the animation for you. Cameron Huffman, thank you for the super chat. Says, big win tonight. Mitch and Matthews get their milestones. Robbie gets the game winner. Robbie does not get the game winner. Appreciate it, though. Steven Lawrence gets the game winner. Gotta love it. Thank you, Cameron, for the super chat. Appreciate it as well. Just quickly, I see a comment there about come to, I think that came from Kurt Commanda, saying come to Maple Leaf Square for game 1. I will not be doing that. I sit here and watch the games from home and then come on here for the post-game show. But thank you all for watching. Thank you for supporting. Hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe. Fire off other super chats if you got to. Thank you all for the support as always. This has been game number 81 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, defeating the Buffalo Sabres here tonight to clinch first place in the Atlantic Division with a 4-0 victory. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you on Thursday. Until then, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos, make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.